Sorry about that.
Let's share our wisdom.
Share our wisdom. Share our
Share
time.
our talents.
Share our
Share our finances.
Share our
But
finances.
most of all, let's share our love. Join me, Naima Latif, every morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, as we bring you stimulating discussions about the issues.
It's my aerobics for the morning.
If you're listening online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution.
All right, we got calls on.
Follow and get our daily topics every morning directly to your email and your smartphone. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, executive producer of the Female Solution Radio Show.
I was listening to you doing the breathing exercise, and it's very powerful in the breath because the thing in which you do, the human being breathes 18 breaths in a minute. So
Wow.
if you took 18 breaths in that 1 minute, and it takes 60 minutes to make an hour, 18 times 60 minutes is 1,080. And it takes 24 hours for a day. So that 1,080 times 24 equals 25,920. And that's the same amount of time in a galactic year that it takes this planet to go around the Milky Way galaxy and come back. And that's what it takes the human in breath to travel around his Milky Way within his body.
Wow. Did you hear that? I am just hearing that for the first time. Wow. I never heard the breath broken down like that, Kwame. That is simply fascinating. And I am so glad to know that this breathing exercise is what helped me during that little chaos and confusion that, because as I was on my way to go and sit in the grass, one of my bid whist family members that I had not seen, was visiting here from Chicago, from California. And she said, go sit over there on the back of one of those little dollies they ride through the park for the Chicago Park District. You know, they have help, looks like a golf cart. And I was like, no, I think I just need to sit on the ground. And I'm so glad I listened to my inner spirit that told me to go sit on the ground, because once I sat on the ground, I felt better immediately. The ground was cold. It was hot outside. And someone gave me some cool water, and I sat there and I felt so good. It's almost like euphoria. It's like something came over me. And now that I'm thinking about what you talked about, the root chakra connecting to the root of the tree, how I did feel a little tiny tingle in my body. And I just thought I was just hot, and, my body was just cooling itself off. But now that you explain how the root chakra is connected to the root of the tree, and that frequency ran up my spinal cord, I felt that. So thank you for explaining that. So now I know why I felt the way I felt. And then after that, I couldn't get off the ground. I tried to get up, but the ground wouldn't let me up, because actually, Naima and I were still there, and she was still filming, and I'm like, she'll share her footage with me. I don't have to get up and get the rest of this. So I just sat there and just listened and just absorbed and stayed there on the ground. And that was an experience I have never, ever had before. So thank you for sharing that information about grounding. And that's something that we can all do on a daily basis. And as you say, on the concrete jungle that we're living in, we really need to move beyond that and get into a space of.
But this is why I chose to say about Harriet Tubman and the Overground Railroad, because what we had just this weekend, we had the new moon and the solar, the summer solstice, and also we had a solar eclipse. And so what we're seeing is in that energy of that, we understand that in learning to be spiritual, we have to understand ritual. And they do rituals very well. This is why they have certain days in which they perform and have you to participate, because they tap into our energy. So, and those thousands of people in that rally, it was tapping into that have not been atoned. We've been making memorials, but we haven't done the ritual of atoning and forgiving. In order to free that energy that it would run through the earth. This is why the lynching museum in Montgomery was created, because it was created from the apartheid museum in South Africa. They copied because of the children and the atrocity that was done in South Africa, apartheid. And so we made a museum, what Ida B. Wells so eloquently was doing all the time she was fighting. And her fighting for what? The lynching law. They will not pass that. Rand Paul is blocking them having the Emmett Till lynching law put into law through the government of this land. And so what we're seeing is because it's not over. That was Trump's whole rally, is to make America, is to put that energy back into the earth on this turtle island, to get those minds to think that they are the superior, and that's the ism, the ill sick mind. And so what he's doing is that he's just a puppet of the perpetuators of the new technocrats, because the Gates and the Rockefellers were the ones who were funding Bobby to do the bill in order for them to get carte blanche to now be able to say that and there's an app that comes on your phone. Apple and Google have gotten together, and the Android. You can go on your phone. If you download the latest app information to your phone, you can go in privacy. Go to the health part in your privacy, click on health, and you will see COVID-19 tracking information.
Wow.
So it's already been put into the system. And these are the designs of what they're doing in social behavior control. This is the new form of communism, because this is what's going on in China. So what we're seeing now, this is the new slave trade. It's because this is why I said about Ruha Benjamin, when she would put race and technology. These are the new Jim Codes. We had the Jim Crow when we came out of slavery. And see, the thing that we celebrated the 155th year of Juneteenth was not Granger reading that it was Granger reading that executive order number 3 and saying that the proclamation would do it. But can you imagine? And this is Brother Carr was speaking on this on him and Karen Lessons by Carr. And he was speaking, he said there were 9 regiments of black troops that were brought to Texas. Read that. Can you imagine those people in the field seeing black men on horses with guns?
Terrifying.
It wasn't terrifying, it was freedom, because they knew that they had heard the rumors, but to see it in actuality, to see black men coming to free them.
Oh, okay. That's powerful.
Right. That was a powerful moment. But those people that didn't know what freedom was going to look like, but the first thing they saw when it came to them with the blue uniforms and black faces on horses and carrying guns was freedom.
And didn't expect to see that at all.
Right. But if that's reason enough for celebration forever. And we're just now tapping back into it. I learned about Juneteenth in 68 when I went and lived in San Antonio, Texas.
And I discovered yesterday, and I heard it said on Viata's show last night too, that a lot of people just really didn't know what Juneteenth meant, and they just didn't have a clue. So I am so glad that the world is waking up to the information that. Go ahead.
But we did know. We did know, but we didn't know. And the way in which we do certain things is just like we do African tradition and don't know it's African tradition because it's in our DNA and it's in our Akashic record. Brothers, and I was guilty. Brothers standing on the corner, and the first thing they do when they open the
Yes. Yes, I've seen it.
African tradition.
I've
Then we turn around and we get this, and on December 31st, 1862, people went to church in the north and began to pray, and they call it the watch night because they were watching the clock till it got to midnight, because then they knew everybody was free because the emancipation that took place January 1st, 1863. And then we turned around and we got free, and it began to start. Men and families, people started going and looking for their families. And then when they found them, they would come into church and celebrate. And what do they have in churches now today? The homecoming.
Yes.
That came from the emancipation. Homecoming, because you celebrated your child has come back home, your husband has come back home, your brother has been found, and he's back home with the family.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the place that you did the celebration of homecoming. And then when we turned around and people got their families together, what did they do? They have family reunion. That
Yes.
was the way we celebrated the whole part of the emancipation. All of those things came out of that emancipation.
Female Solution. Welcome to Monday Morning Mindfulness. We're just here to start your week off with the mindfulness stress relief session. It is Monday. Happy birthday, born day. If today's your birthday, we're celebrating life here on the Female Solution. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Khalid, Scott, awesome father. Happy belated Father's Day, all the fathers in the world. Awesome father that I know, and I'm honored on being a wonderful dad, a single parent of Princess, I call her Princess Ayana. Just graduated from Kenwood Academy. I talk about it like she man, because she is man, because we are a village. Hello.
Yes.
Have you seen
Absolutely.
Yeah. You got to go to Khalid Scott, not YouTube, LinkedIn page, Khalid Scott, Khalid Scott, and see his lovely daughter. See him, check out, so you'll know who's on the show today. But this is his lovely daughter. Can you see that? And I just commend you for being the powerful man that you are, because the world doesn't showcase that. So it is our responsibility to showcase that. So that's what we are doing. So thank you for not only being a guest on the show, a regular mental health contributor, but for being an awesome dad, because I can see it in your face and I can see it in her face. And I was like, oh, I want to be not even a day, just for an hour, because I can see the love.
Absolutely. And it's fun. It's funny you should bring up the subject of Father's Day, because yesterday we went to Walgreens because Anaya needed to pick me up a Father's Day card. Well, when we got to Walgreens, they had already cleared out the Father's Day cards.
Of course.
On Father's Day.
Yeah.
Now, typically on Mother's Day, they still got cards the week after.
Yes. Yes.
And then when we walked up to the checkout, I remember on Mother's Day, the checkout clerk saying, every woman that came up to the counter, Happy Mother's Day. You assume that it's Mother's Day for that mother.
Okay.
And so the young lady didn't say anything to me. And I said, well, you all don't say Happy Father's Day to fathers? And the young lady said this. She said, well, every man isn't a father.
Okay.
And I said, well, every woman isn't a mother. She said, no, more than likely a woman is a mother, whether biological or not, but you all are not daddies. Mm. And I said, wow. And Anaya was standing right next to me, so clearly I'm a dad. And so she ended up saying, well, sir, I'm sorry, Happy Father's Day. But it reminded me all over again how insignificant fathers are made to feel. Mm-hmm. And partially it's our fault, because you don't have daddies go out like I do. Mm-hmm. We tend to let mamas handle the business.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yes. So if we want people to give us respect, we got to show up.
Yes. And
we got to show up.
And you were showing up. And there are many others.
Absolutely.
And like my husband, who just walked in the door this morning, he's a daddy too. Happy Father's Day again, baby. He said. So I know who you are, Khalid, but many of our viewers or listeners don't know who you are. So if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and what qualifies you to talk about racism and mental health today.
Okay, well, first and foremost, I'm a Black man in America, and been here next month 51 years.
All right.
So I've had a wealth of experience regarding racism and being Black and being made to feel devalued, you know, and from other races. Also, for 27 years, come August, I've been a licensed clinical social worker / therapist / case manager / administrator. So I'm in the helping people business. And my caveat, or my number one caveat, is mental health, especially for people of color, because we need it. We are dealing with some post-traumatic slave disorder like you wouldn't believe.
Yes.
And then I heard somebody say post-traumatic racial disorder recently. So we got it honestly. And that plays on us. You know, I tell folks George Floyd isn't the first. No. And he for sure isn't going to be the last.
No.
And we can protest from here till we leave this world, but it's going to always be a practice of dishonoring and disrespecting Black men. And let me not discount Black women being dishonored and disrespected as well. You know, I just think what happened was the timing of everything, Zelda. We're in a pandemic with this virus, and we've been inundated with corona. So then when we had this thing come up with all these attacks on Black people, murdering of Black people, it gave us something to focus on. So we took all this pent up energy we all had over the last 3 months, and now it's like, this is our cause. This is what we're gonna talk about. And now you're sitting at home, and remember, if you wasn't addicted to television before, you are now, because that's all we had. That was our only outlet, you know. Right. And so you watching this video of a man whose breath is slowly leaving his body.
Right.
He's saying, I can't breathe. He's saying, Mama, I need you. And we watched it as human beings. And if you're a mother, you saw your son, you know. If you are a father, you saw your son. If you are a sister or a brother, you saw your sibling, you know. George represents, because we all got a George in our family, right? You know, that person who kind of lived a life that was a little, you know, different. Yeah. But you still loved them. Right. You still loved them. You know? And he deserved to live. Right. He deserved to live. And when it hit me when I saw the picture of him and his daughter sitting in the car. Because of course, I saw me. Yeah, I saw me. I know you did. That's why when I did a post on it, I said it could have been me. Yes. It could have been me.
Naya yes. Not grown up knowing her father.
Absolutely. Like and I remember Zelda back in 2016. We had just left it was Labor Day. Me and my daughter had just left my mom's house, and my mom lives on the southeast side of Chicago. And we were on Jeffrey Boulevard, and the police pulled me over because my car was shutting down. And when he got to my car, I said, Officer, I'm glad you pulled me over because my car is shutting down, you know? Instead of him saying, well, do you need me to call AAA? He was like, sir, show me your license and registration.
Ooh, inhumane.
Right. And so it's a holiday. It's like 8 o'clock at night. My car is breaking down. My daughter is right next to me, and I got disrespected.
Right.
So that's what I mean about it really hit home for a whole lot of us. It really hit home, you know? And then fast forward, now we are really thinking about the Juneteenth, you know, celebration and what that meant to us and how that was our 4th of July holiday, you know? So I love the celebrations. I love the celebrations. And now, what's next, Zelda? What's next? And for me as a clinician, it's helping people get through this. So that's where I'm at right now.
And I appreciate the fact that you are willing to go beyond your call of duty as a clinician in a clinical setting, but also in a community setting, because not everyone is able to get to the clinic to get the services that you have to offer.
Yeah.
And the fact that you are not just saying, well, if you can't come to me in the office, I can't see you, that speaks volumes, because it takes a community, and I greatly appreciate that. We've got some callers on the line, and they want to talk about racism and mental health and how it's affected them. Let's go to the phone line. Area code 773-221. You are live on the Female Solution Grand Rising. What's your name? Where you're calling from? And what's your comment on racism and mental health and how it's affected you?
Yes, greetings to Brother Khalid. I would just say, Dianetics auditing is a very effective way of resolving a lot of psychological issues.
What did you call it? Dianetics what?
Auditing.
Dianetics auditing. Are you familiar with that, Khalid? I never heard of it. Dianetics.
I've never heard of it before. Let me cut this thing down.
Yeah.
Dianetics auditing. And what is that?
Yes.
And what is that?
That's something from the Church of Scientology that the Nation of Islam does. They have they're authorized by the Church of Scientology. They're the only group that's authorized to do the Dianetics auditing. That's like a religious group. And, people who have experienced Dianetics auditing, they swear by it as being a very effective methodology in helping them resolve psychological issues.
Oh.
And I think it should be mandatory for every law enforcement person in the country to have a Dianetics auditing session recorded at least once every year, so that we're clear as to where their head is at.
Where can we get that information? Does the public have access to a Dianetics auditing? I never heard of it. Does the public have access to that?
Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard.
Oh, okay.
There should be a national register of all the people who own guns, whether they be in law enforcement, they be civilians. And like Michael Bloomberg said about background checks for gun owners, it should be mandatory that everyone is identified, since Bill Gates is so keen about tracking and tracing people. We need to track and trace every single gun that's out there.
Okay.
And every single person who presumably owns the gun.
How long does a Dianetics auditing session take?
It can take about an hour or longer, maybe.
Okay. Have you had it?
I've never been pre-cleared for a Dianetics audit, but I know that it's very effective. There's something called.
Well, when you think about it, let us know. But I want you to comment on that. What, Khalid, what kind of procedures or sessions are available to the general public when they are stressful and they need some immediate help? do you have something available or a technique or something that they can try, that they can utilize that will help them immediately and for future reference what's available?
Right. Well, a lot of us clinicians due to COVID, are doing Zoom sessions. We've been approved. So like I'm a clinician through DCFS. So it was approved back in March that we could do, FaceTime, Zoom, or Skype sessions with our clients. Because typically it's not the preferred method. They rather, be in person, face to face. But because of safeties and safety issues and precautions, it's like, well, why not? So what happens is I think this is going to be a new wave, and teletherapy has been coming into place slowly but surely. But now, because of the pandemic, it's in place. So I know a lot of clinicians who are doing Zoom sessions now, and it's an adjustment. It's an adjustment, trying to make sure that, the setup is right, make sure the background is okay, make sure if there's anybody in the house with you, they're not disturbing you, and to help the client really focus in on, hey, I'm not there in person with you, but I'm present. So let's talk about what's going on with you. Because of course the phone can feel impersonal. Video can feel impersonal. But when it's your only intervention or your only alternative, then you got to make do what you got to make do with. And as long as the continuity of the session is in place, why not? So what I'm seeing in doing these Zoom sessions is that anxiety levels are really high. Despair is high. Folks are worried. If you have elderly parents, you're worried about them because you can't, I know people who parents are in nursing homes and they can't go and see them.
Yes, and hospitals too.
Hospitals too. So like, say if you got sick with corona and you were really severely sick, you can't even be visited by family members. I heard a story or read a story. This couple had been married 60-something years. Both of them got corona, and they were hospitalized at the same time, but they couldn't be with each other.
Oh, no.
So you spend all this lifetime, your whole adult life with this human being, and then at the end, this virus takes you out, and you can't even have that last touch or that last kiss.
That's serious trauma.
Absolutely. So when you're hearing these stories, just as a regular viewer, you're watching the news, you're on the internet, you're hearing these messages, how can that not take you under?